Hi, Debbie Oates here again. This is the second in a series of instructional videos that we're bringing to you. This one is Fundamentals of Asana 2 poses, which may be a little bit more challenging than the first video we did. And we're doing them as a flow, but I want you to think of this more like a workshop. We'll keep you moving the whole time, but I would like you to be able to see how we get in and out of poses. So besides just letting you know what the benefits of the poses are and the steps to get in and out of the poses, I would like to see the flow of moving from one pose to the other if these would be incorporated into a different one. So this is my friend Dee Dee Carver. She's going to be here today helping us. Doing some of the demonstrations, and I'll be talking to you about the benefits and the steps of getting in and out of the poses. So we will start this just like a regular practice. So grab your mat, join us, throw it down on the floor wherever you are, and come right along with us and do the poses with us. We're going to start with our first pose is Hero's Pose or Virasana. And that is sitting on your knees, sitting your hips back on your heels. And this is a great one to start a class with or to use as a transition pose. And I just want you to first relax your shoulders away from your ears and find your breath. And so just notice the breath in the body just like you would any other class. And feel free to stop the video at any time if you want to hold a pose longer or you want to breathe longer or stay in Shavasana longer, whatever you would like. This is pretty flexible and we're just going to have some fun here today and just go with the flow. So just take a few moments to breathe and let me tell you about Virasana first of all. It is a basic seated posture and the base of your posture is sitting on your knees and your shins and the tops of your feet. And maybe Dee Dee might try and pull her feet on the outside of her hips and wiggle her sitting bones all the way down to the earth. And that's a tough thing to do. I have issues in my knee. So sometimes I use a block to sit on just like this when I'm in Virasana pose. But that's right, your thighs are about hip distance apart. You can rest your hands in your lap. This is considered a back bend. So she has a little bit of a back bend there, but it's really good for, engaging good posture in your body. So you're sitting up nice and tall. It's a great stretch for the hips, the thighs, the feet, the ankles. And there are some modifications besides sitting on a blanket or a bolster or a block. If you want to take it a little deeper, you might take your hands back and begin to stretch back a little bit. I don't know if you like to do that or not. You can lift your hips or you can lower back down, but this will help stretch the whole front of the body. This is just another little side benefit of going maybe a little bit deeper into this pose. So we'll exhale, come all the way back, and let's keep moving forward. Bring your hands down on hands and knees and come into a few cat-cow positions. And you might want to move your fingertips out just a little bit further out in front of your shoulders so that it doesn't put a lot of pressure on your wrist. So Dee Dee's coming into a cow or a dog tilt, inhaling, and then exhaling into cat pose. This is great. We use this all the time as transitions between poses. And it really helps with the spinal alignment. We talked about this one in Fundamentals of Asana 1, but it's a great way to keep the spine nice and long and supple and warm from whatever you're doing. Anyway, if we move into a neutral spine position, and that's just a natural curve in your low back with a nice long neck, which looks really great, you will notice as we move into a spinal balance, she's going to extend her right leg straight back, and if you want to, you can extend your left arm. This is really good to stretch out the spine. But you'll notice that all the poses that we're doing today are either moving into or out of this cat-cow position, always working toward this neutral spine. Now, if you exhale, bring your hand down to the mat. Take your right leg off to the right side of your mat. We're going to come into gate pose or Parigasana. And let's turn the right toe straight out. There you go. And walk your hands up. Perfect. I don't have to tell you anything. You know how to do everything. That's really good. So either way, she's got her leg out to the side, the toe is down. If my toe doesn't go all the way down, I might even put a block under the toe. I have issues with my knees, as you know. Everybody knows that. So I'm going to keep a towel under my knee if I were doing it, and if you need a towel, you can do that too. So in this gate pose, let's start with the hands on the hips, right there, and we're going to keep that left hip down right over the left knee. There you go. And then very gently begin to turn your hips slightly toward your extended leg. Just your hips, just your pelvis. And then keep your pelvis towards your right leg and turn the upper part of your torso over here to the left. Yeah. You can really feel the stretch on the inner thigh here. Now as we extend the arms out to the side, she's going to bend into that right leg and lift the left arm all the way up. It doesn't matter where you look. Beginners may want to look straight ahead. If you've been doing this for a while, you could look up. Big opening, big stretch on the left side of the body. Stretches the hamstrings. It's mostly a side body stretch. That's what we're going for here in Parigasana. Now, very gently, come all the way back. There are some opportunities to go further in this if you want. You can even bring your hand down to the floor. You can lift your leg up. You know what I like to do? I like to pick the bottom arm up and engage the oblique here. That's always a surprise to students in class because that really works the sides, the obliques. So come on back up. We'll bring the knees back together in the middle of the mat. Go ahead and go back to your hands and knees and take a couple more cat-cows. And then we'll work our way back to that neutral spine again. And this time we'll extend the left leg straight back. And we've got a lot of energy out of here, so we're just going to push it straight back from our hip. And when you're ready, the right arm can reach forward. And this is just to show you how we can move from one pose to the other. Nice and fluid, nice and coming into and out of with a nice flow. So if you bring your hand back down to the mat, we'll move the left leg off to the side. And we'll do the same thing. So point your toe to this back wall here. Walk your hands back up. And we'll just keep the hips level and squared right there. And then again, just turn the pelvis slightly toward this extended leg. And then the upper part of your body a little bit more away from that leg. So we've got this big stretch going on. As we reach the arms out to the side, we're going to bend over towards this extended leg and stretch open the right side body right here. Nice long lines all the way down. Looks fabulous. And then you can take something else on the other side if you want. If you want to bring your hand down and lift your leg up, or you can even bend your knee and stretch. It just depends on how you feel, what's going on. Now this time as we come back, we're going to keep moving right along. We're going to bring both knees back together and we're coming into camel pose or Ustrasana. Great back bend here. So again, we're going to keep the hips and the knees sort of aligned, this hip distance apart. The base of this is also the shins and the tops of the feet. Hips are going to stay right here over your knees. And it's like you're drawing your sitting bones up into your body and drawing the belly back. You can take your hands into your low back wherever they feel good. I know some people reach their arms up first. Some people bring fists into their low back. Some people have fingers up or fingers down. This is a chest opener, a big stretch on the front part of the body. So she's going to lift her heart open to the sky, stretch open the front of the shoulders, keep her neck nice and long and in line so we're not going to let it drop all the way back. And take a couple breaths here. How's that feel? Good? Good. Come back up again and just take a little twist like this, kind of side to side. So I'm going to take a little counter pose there, and we'll try that again. Maybe tucking the toes. Have you done that before? Maybe taking your arms way back. I know some people do one arm at a time, some people do two arms at a time, and reach all the way back towards your heels. Again, keeping the hips kind of pushing forward and opening the chest. It's really tight because you're drawing the belly in. You're trying to preserve that big open curve by thinking about coming into cat pose, by pushing your upper hips back a little bit. So you're really engaging the tops of your thighs. And then slowly come all the way back. Take a little twist again from side to side. And then you can come back to your hands and knees. I love cat-cow. I like these poses, these back bends that help you with your posture too. Now we're going to come into some more back bends by walking your hands forward, coming into a knee plank position. And we've got lots and lots of things we can do from our knee plank position. And Dee Dee's drawing her belly in nice and tight, engaging the legs, and then let's bend the elbows about 90 degrees and see if you can come about halfway down, and then push yourself back up again. Oh yeah. We're building some strength in those triceps. Try that one more time. Come all the way down, and then lift all the way back up. So butt isn't sticking out. It's nice and straight. It's like you have a board on your back from your head all the way down to your knees. Now this time, bend your elbows and come all the way down to the mat. We're going to bring the fingertips up so they're right even with the shoulders, and your hands are basically underneath your rib cage a little bit. We're coming into cobra pose, Bhujangasana. And this is a really nice pose for your back again. And we're going to press down with the hips and the legs so we're pressed into the mat, and then begin to lift the heart up just a little bit right there. And there's lots of ways. Sometimes I have people cup their fingers onto the earth, yep, and use more of the shoulder blades and the back coming together. And then slowly exhale all the way back down again. So this is really good for the flexibility and strength in your spine and really opening up the front of the body a little bit. Take a little breath, come on back up, and then lift your hips and come back into a child's pose, a nice extended child's pose. There we go. And take a little bit of a stretch. Now, if we come back out, we're going to do something very similar, upward facing dog, or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And this time, she's going to, bend her elbows about 90 degrees and really engage the legs and press down with the tops of the feet. So as she squeezes her legs together, the knees pop right off the earth and the heart opens up to the front. Again, all these back bends, they're strengthening the spine, they're adding flexibility in the spine, they're stretching open the front of the body, the shoulders, even stretching the belly. Contraindicators, of course, would be the wrists. So if we have issues in the wrists, we may want to change that up just a little bit. Go ahead and lower yourself all the way back down again. Just relax your hands by your side and turn your face to one side. I know you're kind of wiggling up there off the front part of your mat. That's okay. And just breathe for a moment. This will actually help us lead into the next back bend we have, which is locust pose or Shalabhasana. I know, we're putting all these, and you probably wouldn't in a traditional yoga flow class. You probably couldn't put all these together or back to back. Lots of different places that you can bring your hands when we're in locust pose. Try flipping your palms. Yeah, try doing that. And as you begin, press them into the mat first to use them for yourself. As you just begin to lift your heart up a little and press down with your legs, just like you did for your cobra pose. And keep the neck nice and long. And then exhale all the way back down to the mat. Turn your face to the opposite side. Next time, I'm going to have her come up and lift her hands off the mat and her feet. So as we inhale and engage the entire spine, the entire back body, the whole core, the back body of everything, your thighs, your calves, your spine, your arms, your shoulders, her legs, her feet, everything is up off the mat. And then exhale slowly, and you can turn your face to a different side. There are lots of different ways. I've even seen locusts where people bring their arms out in front like Superman. You can try it that way too. So you can inhale and lift your arms. Some of these are a little bit more challenging than others. So it's good to kind of experiment with some of these and see which ones you like the best. These back bends, they help with your abdominals and the thyroid and all kinds of good therapeutic applications to them. Let's come back up onto your hands and knees for just a moment. Take a couple cat-cows to get any little kinks out of your back. And I'm using that a lot today because we're not doing a whole lot of movement here on the mat, which you may want to add some sun salutations in if you were doing a class like that. In fact, go ahead and tuck your toes and lift your hips all the way up to downward facing dog, our nice home base. And just keep the arms and spine long and stretched. Heels are getting really close to the earth. We did this one in our asana ones as well. We're going to try four-limb staff pose, or chaturanga dandasana. We have a couple of different ways to do that. I'm going to encourage you to come all the way out to your plank pose, upward push-up position. And before you bend your elbows at 90 degrees and come down, you guys, this is a really difficult pose. And a lot of the teachers don't even teach this anymore because for years and years, people were dipping their shoulders too deeply below their elbows and their hips. But your elbows are bent at 90 degrees and you're just hovering over the floor. You might follow this with upward facing dog again. Look at that. She can stay right up on the tops of her toes. If you roll over your toes, you can take it right back to downward facing dog. And this is part of the sun salutation that we use a lot. Take a few breaths here. I know that's a tough one. But upward facing dog, it stretches everything on the front of the body, whereas chaturanga dandasana, it still engages all the muscles in your body, but you're just sort of floating over the floor. It's almost a little, it's pretty tough. If you lower all the way down to the floor, take a breath here, and then gently come up to a knee plank with your hands right where they are. So leave your hands. So this is a really good alternative to that. You do not have to hover over the floor. Bend your elbows again at 90 degrees and just hover right there. See, she still has her knees and the tops of her feet in the floor. So this works really well. So tuck your toes and lift your hips into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths right here. We're going to come up off the floor for a few minutes. Now, if you take your right toes up to the sky, I'm not going to make you do a whole sun salutation. Step your right foot up by your right thumb. We're going to come into warrior one. And so with warrior one, our heels are lined up on the same line. In fact, move your left foot over just a little bit more over to the left so you have a little bit more space there. And take your arms all the way up into your warrior one position. I know it's a back bend, but again, you're pulling your hips in that retro version, that cat tilt, just so that you get that really nice stretch on the psoas. We're using this as a little bit of a lead-in for some revolved poses that we're going to do. So if you bring your hands to your hips, right into your hip creases, and straighten the front leg a little bit, we're going to take this out into Parsvottanasana, to your pyramid pose. And it's really hard to square the hips with your back foot off at an angle, but we do the best we can. We can at least square the shoulders and the rib cage. She's going to reach her left arm forward. I'm actually going to bring you a block here to use in a minute. Maybe keep that right hand on your hip. As we turn, this first one is Parivarita Trikonasana, revolved triangle. So I'm going to start you right here by bringing your hand down and extending your spine and begin to rotate just a little bit. You don't have to look up too far. In fact, beginners would probably just want to look straight on out. If it feels good in your body, you could lift your right arm up because this can really open up the shoulder blades, the chest. Great for the spine again. Okay. Always feel free that you can adjust things that you need. They say it helps with, some mild low back pain, but it engages the legs as well. So it's stretching your hips, it's stretching your spine, it's building lots of strength in your legs. It helps with concentration and focus. For a lot of us, this is a difficult pose because it almost feels like a bit of a balance here. Now, if you gently bring yourself back into that Parsvottanasana, bend your front knee and take your hands back up to your Warrior One position. That might be a good way to come out of this for just a few moments. If you need to do a down dog and come back, you can. Or we'll go right into the next revolved side angle. Pavarita Parsvottanasana. Say those 3 times fast. So this time, yes, you're going to keep your right knee bent. I know she's holding these poses. I get to talk and she gets to hold the poses, and man, I'd be falling out and shaken up taking that long to do. It's going to be the same rotation. First, bring your hands into your heart just a little bit. There we go. As we begin to rotate the spine, you're also going to rotate on your back left toe. So it looks like you're almost in just a crescent lunge position. As you turn your torso toward the camera, toward the right, let's bring the left hand down onto the block, right there. And you can, again, keep your right hand on your hip. So it's similar to the revolved triangle, the revolved side angle. Some people can wrap these two. I'm not going to make you do that. But I think keeping your hand on the block or the floor, and you notice the back foot is up on the toe as opposed to being flat, it's a lot safer. I know for years we went and still had that Warrior One position. Great for the spine again. We've got that rotation. We've got that little bit of concentration and focus here. You have to really stay focused. Think about the balance. Think about the strength in the legs and opening the chest and opening the heart. If you gently come back up as if you're going to come back into your high lunge position. And you can do that. You can stretch out your arms for a moment. Then take the hands to the heart and prayer twist it. So this is the same move, but maybe a little bit deeper. And if this is a little bit tough, you can even drop your back left knee down. We didn't even talk about doing that. But if you're able, you can. You can do that. You can drop your back left knee down. Opens up the lungs, opens up the shoulders. They say these poses, these big, deep, twisted poses, revolved, really help with stamina too. So now, you can bring your hands down on either side of that front foot and pull your foot back and come into your downward facing dog and pedal your feet for just a moment. I'm going to let her do this on the opposite side so that she's not lopsided. So go ahead and take your left leg up and come into your Warrior One on this side. And we'll do the same thing. We'll work on that revolved triangle first. So if you come on up, lift your fingertips up to the sky, take that Warrior One, and then come into Parsvottanasana first. So straighten the front leg, hands at your hip creases. There we go, and you kind of lengthen out. And usually Parsvottanasana, you're all the way down on your shin, but we don't have to do it that way today. She's just going to begin to rotate. Yep, away from the camera this time. You can take your arm up, or you can keep your hand on your hip, whichever works. Stay as long as you need to, or as long as you want to. You can come back up, and then we'll do the whole revolved side angle, which is bending the knee. Great benefits here for your whole entire body. I love it. Really tones the abdominal core too. But taking your time, you don't have to rush in and out of your poses when you're doing them. Get your props, get the things that you need. Feel comfortable. Remember, we're moving with those qualities of stira and sukha. The stira is your strength and your stability. Your sukha is your softness and your ease. Come all the way back up. That sounds good. And we want to find both of those qualities in all the poses that we do. So go ahead and come all the way back to your downward facing dog. There you go. Looks beautiful. And go ahead and take a little vinyasa. You can float your way back out to plank, you can do a chaturanga, or just lower all the way down and take a cobra, whatever works. And then eventually just drop down to your knees and take a child's pose again. Extended child's pose, arms stretched out, maybe coming up onto the fingertips. So even though some people think that you should be doing shoulder stands and plows and handstands way before you do a headstand, it just kind of flows really nicely right here. So we're going to add in Sirsasana, which is headstand 1. We'll take our time, relax just a little bit. You should be plenty warm by now. I know, get yourself all nice and centered. We'll go through it very slowly. In fact, I'll start out at the beginning with you. When you come forward, and child's pose is a good place to come from, coming up, or somewhere where you're on your hands and knees, we'll measure for this. So if we grab the opposite elbows with your hands, and then take your hands to a little triangle at the front, you'll notice that we've got a little cupping in the hands here. So we'll take the crown of the head down to the mat and cup your head with the back of the hands. And if you've never done headstand before, this is a great way to start. You can just stay right here. Then we can take the next step, by coming up onto your toes and beginning to walk your feet in. And this is also a fine place to stay. And she's going to go ahead and pull her knees in and come all the way up to her headstand. My hand is straight up, so if you want to come a little bit further, and this is a little bit scary. This takes a lot to come all the way up to headstand. It really strengthens the neck, so you want to pull your shoulders away from your ears and use your triceps to help lift you, your arms. You don't even have to put a lot of pressure on your head. Again, this is these inversions are great, for turning your whole world upside down. Gently come back down, very slowly, and just stay on the balls of your feet for a few moments. This is almost like being in a dolphin stand, and this is a great place to be for beginners. You don't have to take your legs all the way up over your head, but it does strengthen your core muscles, and it does take a little bit of core muscle strength in order to do that. Sit back in child's pose. Perfect. See, you automatically know your body will tell you what to do, and it says, I want to come back into a headstand. And sometimes it takes a little bit of overcoming fear. But the poses that we do on the mat kind of translate out into real life. So we try things here. We try to challenge ourselves, overcome fears, find release in different poses so we can better deal with the real world when we get out there and get off of our mats. So take a couple more breaths here in this extended child's pose. Sure does bring some awareness and some balance into your body when you're doing headstand, that's for sure. And look, we've come all the way back to Virasana again. We're back into that basic seated pose. And again, this is a great transition pose. You can come all the way back, take little stretches, whatever you'd like. So take a breath. We're going to tuck the toes and come back into downward facing dog. We're coming up for another balancing, challenging pose here. We're getting ready for Ardha Chandrasana 2, your half moon 2, and we're going to take our time here doing this, okay? So, the first thing I want you to do is start with your left leg first, because I want you to face the camera. So we'll lift the left leg to the sky, and then step the left foot up between your fingertips and come into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And she's just going to windmill her arms up and come into this wonderful open hip posture where the front left heel is lined up with the back right arch. So we're finding first some stability in this pose and some breath and taking our time. When we come into this balancing pose, there are lots of ways to get into it. You can come from triangle, you can come from side angle. I'm just going to let you come from Warrior 2. Do you like to use the block or not?
It would be better.
Okay, it would be better. Okay. So we're going to take that block a few inches out in front of her left foot, wherever it feels comfortable. And then as you extend forward, you're going to slide your right toe in. Yes, she's coming right into this. I'll just be your wall. I'll just put my hip against your hip. So we're going to elongate the side of the waist. We're going to lift the right leg up as even with the waist as we can. You don't even have to look up. I know that's her Iyengar training. You can lift your arm up to the sky. Nowadays, you can look wherever you want. And she's using the block for support. That's giving her a little bit more lift. A lot of core engagement here, a lot of strength as the left leg straightens. The right leg is lifting. For some people, this is really difficult to get that leg all the way up there. When you come out of this pose, very gently just step back into your warrior two pose once again. And then take your hands all the way down and come back into your downward facing dog if you'd like. I'd like to give people plenty of opportunity for finding a little bit of reprieve here. DebOatesAsana2, I should check some more notes here. Oh yes, it stretches your hamstrings, it helps relieve stress, improves digestion, and courage. Courage, yep, courage. I have to have a lot of courage to do that. A lot of people have difficulty with this with their hips. So let's show them a modification of this. Take your right leg up and step your right foot up between your fingertips and find warrior two again, which I know is still a bit of a challenge because it's a hip opener here. If you weren't going to come into DebOatesAsana2 on one side, we could come into a warrior three maybe. If you rotated on your back toe and brought your hips more into side by side, a closed hip as opposed to an open hip posture. And then you could use your block, you could lift your leg. This is also challenging and uses courage, uses a lot of the same muscles in the body, I would say so. So maybe take your arms to the side if you can, I know. One thing I don't like to do is get in people's way when they're absolutely balancing because they need focus, they need concentration, they need to engage all the muscles in the back of the whole back body here. And you can step back into a warrior one from this position if you want. There you go. All right. And then just take it all the way back to your downward facing dog. So you see what we're doing? I'm showing you how to flow in and out of these. And obviously down dog, cats and cows, they're all great transition poses for us. Child's pose, so come on back down and take yourself a quick little child's pose if you want. And then we'll come all the way up onto your hands and knees. You can take another cat-cow here. I'm going to keep that spine going. Keep that spine nice and supple. So now we're going to lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. We're going to come into DebOatesAsana, bow pose. So here in bow pose, we're going to just bend the knees first so that the feet go straight up to the sky. Yep, you can lift and sweep your hands around to grab your ankles. And obviously if you can't grab both ankles, you can just do one side at a time. We're going to inhale and lift the chest. This is another really great back bend. And lift your knees off the earth. So really, strength in the spine, lots of stretching for our spine. Opens up the chest, opens up the heart. Come all the way back down. You can let go and take a little rest if you want. It's good for stretching all the fronts of the body. Most of the back bends, like I said, are very similar in what they provide as far as stretching and strengthening the front of the body and strengthening the back of the body. So now let's go all the way back, take a little child's pose. And we're going to come to a seated position on your mat. We're going to come into some little seated twists. Marichiasana. And let's see, you have a nice long spine here. These can be really tough, only because it's sometimes really tough for people. to root down with those sitting bones and press the thighs energetically into the floor and still keep this nice long spine. I like to sit on a blanket when I do it. Do you want to sit on a blanket, or do you're okay? Okay, that's great. So there are lots of Marichyasana poses, or the pose dedicated to the sage Marichi. It sounds easier to say Marichyasana, huh? So Marichyasana 3, I think, is actually the easiest pose of like the 5, and we're going to do 2 of those here today. So as you're pressing down with your left leg, let's bend the right knee and draw the heel, no, the right knee, yeah. You only have to know your right from your left here. And draw it in as close as you can to your groin area. And for some people, like I said, this is a real tough pose to go. Now, according to Jason Crandall, you're supposed to start rotating your spine from the base of the spine where the sacrum is. I know, I did the same thing. I did a double take. Really? I thought we were supposed to just twist here. Anyway, soften the belly. Take your left arm and hug it around your knee, and take your right hand right here behind you, where it will allow you to keep your spine nice and long and keep these shoulders nice and open. So this looks pretty easy for her. She's twisting into her thigh, so the belly button is in here. And it's stretching open the shoulders. It's elongating the spine. Her legs are being nice and energetic. It's really massaging those internal organs, those abdominal organs. And I want to say it stimulates the mind. It stimulates the brain for some reason. And it makes you, I think it's also full of courage in order to twist that way. And strengthens your back, of course, because we're twisting. Some people say that it eliminates some of that back pain. Now, if you want to stretch your leg out, again, you can if you need to shake it out, but we're going to come with that same side. We're going to do the same knee into the groin area. This time, let's see if you can take your right arm on the inside of your leg and reach out toward your left big toe into a forward fold. So Marichyasana 1 actually is a bound forward fold. Have you done this one before?
Where do you find it?
Yeah. So you just take your arm and wrap it around and hold hands with yourself. You make everything look so easy, Dee. So this is it's not always quite this easy. You can use a strap, you can use a towel to grab your hands together if you want. Same benefits, the massaging of the abdominal organs, the strengthening. It stretches the hips, the knees, it opens the shoulders, the backs. It's just, I haven't found any pose that doesn't help you all over. It just feels like everything just works great. What I would suggest now, coming out, is trying it on the opposite side, since we don't want you to be lopsided. So stretch out both your legs. Yeah. And then take the other side. So do your Marichyasana 3 first, which is just twisting into the leg. There you go. You can even take your elbow and kind of even take it even further around. Yeah, that's just a little bit deeper. There is another one of the Marichyasana 2, I think it's 5, is where you bind it from this direction, where you take your right arm around that leg and bind it. But that's not one I have to teach today. And then come back and try the bound forward fold again. So your left arm, take your left arm to your right toe. There you go. There you go. And then the trick to doing most binds is just to rotate so that the inside of your elbow, that little eyeball of your elbow, is on the inside, and it wraps all the way around, so that you can feel that. And you can hold hands with yourself. All right, looks really good. All right, you can come all the way back and then shake out your legs a little bit. We're gonna scoot you down just enough because we're gonna come into bridge pose. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. So if you bring yourself all the way down to the mat, bend your knees so that your feet are right near your sitting bones. So your heels are underneath your knees. Another back bend here. You can keep your hands right by your hips for the moment. And as you inhale, begin to lift the hips up. This is a back bend. She's going to keep her chin really close to her chest. So she's feeling that chest rise up really close to the chin. Hands can be in so many different positions. Lower back down again, very slowly, and you notice the back bending in this. But again, I'm going to tell you again, this is also, this time as you come back up, peel your spine up, see if you can take your hands underneath and interlace your fingers and kind of shimmy your shoulders. There you go, and she's going to puff open her chest. This is, Jalandhara Bandha is important here because it's going to keep your neck and chest really close together. Think cat pose here, as if you were trying to draw your hip bones back and come out of this big back bend more into your cat pose. And that's going to draw the belly in so that you're going to stay in this pose. So are we feeling this? Energizing the back, the hamstrings, the feet, the arms, really opens up the chest, the shoulders, opens up the heart. Again, this is probably another good one for your thyroid and for your the whole back body, the whole front body. I love it. Go ahead and tuck your knees in and just take a little rock side to side. Using some little counter poses every so often so we don't, get too crazy here. Now for this next pose, Sarvandasana, shoulder stand, I am going to use a little support under your shoulders. So I've got two blankets here. The rounded folded edges are going to be right underneath of her neck. So your neck is going to come right to those. In fact, come down just a little bit further. So your shoulders are on the blanket. So in this pose, we're going to turn the world upside down again. And I think some people can kick their legs up into it. I think the best way is to first start in your bridge pose just to get your hips lifted up. Maybe even bringing your hands under your low back or by your hips so that you can shimmy your elbows underneath because you want your elbows to stay on there. However, how do you normally get up? You just kick your legs all the way up into it. So, and you can do it that way too. And hands, there you go. So when you're in this upside down, wow, this is just perfect. She's gotten all the way up here. We're going to try to keep those arms as parallel as we can. So we're going to keep moving the elbows in just a tad and walking your hands up your back. There we go. So that she's straight up. Wow, is this core engagement or what? Energizing the legs, working the spine. All right. Now from here, we have so many options. Let's try Halasana, plow pose. So very slowly and gently, she's going to bring the toes all the way over her head, maybe to the floor. You can interlace your hands again like you did in your bridge pose. You can even take your arms all the way up over your head underneath and reach for your toes. Stretching the spine, stretching the back of the legs. How are we feeling? We're upside down. Oh, therapeutic benefits. I should know all these. Helps the abdominal organs, improves your digestion, reduces fatigue in all these poses. I love it. Reduces stress and fatigue, calms the brain, stretches the shoulders. I'm cheating with some notes here, just so that you know. Now, you know what? If you come up to a half shoulder stand and you put your hands on your thighs, that's supposed to be a really cool pose too. Yeah, oh, I know, and it's tough, it's tough. It's tough, it's supposed to be very relaxing for you. Yeah, do you want to go back up into your shoulder stand one more time? Put your hands on your back. You can get into shoulder stand from plow, from the mat. If I were a beginner, I might use the wall. I might start right here and just kind of lift my butt up right here and bring my hands under and slowly lift myself up into shoulder stand using the wall. As you gently come all the way back down, tuck it in. Again, you can take a little twist side to side if you'd like. For upward bow, Ardha Dhanurasana, I have used blankets and bolsters before. You probably don't want to use those. So go ahead and lie down on your back again. We're going to lift the elbows up and bring your hands backwards by your head. Keep your feet about where they were for your bridge pose. So this is upside down bow pose. So we did essentially the same thing when she was on her stomach, reaching for her heels in bow pose. Some people call this wheel, but actually it's not really a wheel. Wheel is where you actually go all the way back onto your arms and touch your feet. We're not going to show that one today. So take a nice deep breath in and begin to come up, that's right, onto your head. You're drawing your heels towards your buttocks. So you're using more of your legs to lift right here. A nice back bend here, maybe straightening out the arms just a little bit more so that we're trying to use more of the legs than the arms here as we lift up. And then slowly, slowly release all the way down. And again, you can take a twist side to side or draw your knees in if that feels really comfortable for you. She is so good and so flexible. I love it. Really helps with those abdominals and the spine, flexibility. We feeling okay? I think we're ready for one more pose. Vrikshasana means tree. Adho Mukha Vrikshasana is upside down tree or handstand. So again, the benefits of doing anything upside down, turning your world upside down, is just really good for your entire constitution. It's good for the blood flow to the head, just like all the other upside down poses that we did, but just for changing gravity around. So let's use my mat for this and the wall. So in handstand, and it's also concentration, focus, lots of what's the word I'm looking for? Not being afraid. She's going to plant her hands about a few inches, or maybe even a foot from the wall. You don't need that much space, and we're basically in downward facing dog and stepping one foot forward so that she can practice hopping up. Even if you don't reach the wall, this is a good place to practice against. Hopping up one leg, hopping up on the other leg. So especially beginners would probably like to hop up and down until you feel like you have the strength in your shoulders. See, her feet didn't even slam into the wall. You know, eventually you get accustomed to this. You're looking down at your thumbs. It's a lot of strength in the shoulders and the arms. The same rest of benefits for being in these inverted postures, but just a little bit more in your shoulders and arms. And we can come back down the same way. Looking good, looking really good. I think it's time for Shavasana, don't you? So, at the end of our practice, even if you haven't stopped your tape several times, you should still always take some quiet time. So you can lie all the way down on the mat and take yourself and just allow your legs and arms to open up nice and relaxed. Slow the breathing down. Bring the focus back to your breath. we work really hard in some of these poses, and a lot of them improve brain function and blood flow to the brain. When we're doing these balances and we need to use focus and concentration and I don't know, bravery, courage, you need to totally relax and take it all in at the end. So listen to your body, go back to the breath, find a few moments to rest, and enjoy the benefits of the practice. And I thank you guys for joining us today. Come back and join in again sometime. Namaste.